honesty, out of most of the classes I took at ETSU, I found what I learned in the leadership classes to be applicable pretty much every day. A lot of classes you take, it's hard to know, when am I ever going to use this? How am I going to use this? Am I ever going to use this? And I found that with these classes, that I was learning things that I could take away and apply the very same day. Not just in, a business perspective, but in my everyday life with friends, family, partners, everything.
I think it's a great decision. Everyone needs a step of leadership, a skill of leadership in their life, because no matter where you're going, you're either going to be a leader or a follower, and you have to learn how to do both, and the leadership minor will teach you how to do both.
I think it's probably one of the most practical sources of education you could get, because even nowadays it's like really hard to find value. There's so many students that graduate and they become servers, and that's a problem. And because you think, oh, I'm going to spend all this money on higher education and I should be able to find a better job, right? Well, the leadership minor gives you the skills you need in whatever your major is. It gives you those practical skills to succeed in any field.
You could see these people that were, running Fortune 500 companies, or people who were, assistants to the president, who were actively using the principles that you were teaching and were very successful.
The activity about synergy, I think that one was very neat, because it not only showed the skills of each person, but it showed how we could work together as a team and use each person's skills.
From the very get-go with the 7 Habits class, learning how to get a private victory. So how do I win in my own life first? And then that can translate into working with groups and in teams and things like that.
During the classes, we had a lot of real-life examples, not a bunch of what-if scenarios.
That was really important to me, was being able to do something that is practically going to help me to succeed, to work better with other people. That's one of the main things that I learned as well, is we learn a lot about leadership styles.
You learn to put a name to what's happening. When you see a certain style of leadership, you're like, oh, I know what that is. That doesn't work. Or, you see, hey, I know what he's doing. That's right, let's do this. And that's really beneficial. Again, it goes back to what I said originally, is you learn where and how you can apply this every day and be successful in doing these things. And I think that's priceless information.
And everything that I learned in the history of nonprofits in their development class has just primed me to be able to feel confident, oh yeah, I took a class on that. I've learned about that. I know the struggles. I know what we're getting into, and it's worth it. So
one of the 7 habits: seek first to understand, then to be understood. That's one that really has stuck with me, because I'm thinking about not only going into social work, but counseling, and that will really help a lot in counseling.
Every normal personality type I learned about, just baseline interacting with your everyday person. The people that I met in med school were all those times 50. So it was even more necessary for me to pick up on, oh, this person sort of leads a lot this way, so maybe I should interact with them in this way, and it will be better for them and better for me and better for our team. And I think that's so important, having that perspective coming into medical school, because then that's going to help me to work better with my team at the hospital, working with pharmacists, working with public health professionals, working with nurses. I think just having that interpersonal skill is so valuable, especially in fields where communication is up here. And sometimes if communication fails, then the whole process fails. So
one of the things in the theories and practices was that you did a behavior analysis where people got to realize what kind of a person they were, and they're like, hey, that's me, that's great. I can identify with this. Well, that's wonderful. What I thought was the most educational for me was it got to tell you what other people thought of that and how other people viewed it. And that was very eye-opening. And I use that every day. I use it all the time. I focused on a lot of the things that you and I went over when you coached me through the results of that. And I've utilized that stuff every day with family, friends, people I work with, just people you interact with in general at the coffee shop. You can use this stuff every single day. And that's about the whole program itself. It doesn't matter if it's the beginning class, the middle class, the more advanced ones, or, things about like the nonprofits. At least 5 things in every single class can be used every day. And, that's something that I think is hard to find in much of any class. I mean, you can find things in certain science or math classes that you can absolutely utilize on a fairly regular basis. But you can utilize this every single day in every walk of your life, no matter what.
I think that in medicine, like all the science stuff, they teach you that really, really well in medical school. And a lot of that is just factual memorization. But then when you're face to face with a patient that needs healing, you have to be able to communicate. If you can't get the right history, you can't even put your science to work. If you can't relate with the patient, you might have the right history, you might know all the science, and if you can't relate with the patient, they're not going to take the medicines the way that you want them to take them. Right. So it's just all wrapped up in how can I be a people person, how can I deal with people. And the leadership minor taught me how to do that. So
I'm not a person that thinks about big decisions ahead. Like, I just tackle them as they come along.
Right.
So it made me think about things that will come up that I am going to have to tackle and plan before it actually happens.
It helped me to find bridges from where I do have strengths to build the gap between what I was good at and what I wasn't so good at.
I don't think I reflected nearly enough before the leadership minor. A lot of your assignments required reflection, and that was different from my biology 1 class, because they just required me to remember something or to study a book or to study facts, and it was less about me and more about the facts. And that's the facts are maybe a public victory, I guess, if you can use them. If you know what to do with them in, I guess, research or medicine or whatever else, but the introspection and the reflection of like, okay, how did that go? Whenever I would do my leadership reflections, I could really open up and I didn't have to worry about a specific style. It was personal, and then you encouraged that. And so it made me feel like, oh, I can be so open with these, and you're all, like, when you actually grade, I'm like, wow, she actually reads these. She actually cares. She's like, great job. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not critical. And if it was when it needed to be, but it was in a way that encouraged me, as opposed to just being like, okay, all right, I'm gonna have to figure out how to write science better. But
I just think it would be a great, even if you don't exactly sign up for the minor, to take a leadership class and then see if you really want to pursue it, because it's a great opportunity to learn more things about yourself and how you can better yourself.
No matter where you work, no matter what field, if you're in healthcare, if you're in any of the sciences, if you're in theater, it doesn't matter. Any field of study you go into, you can utilize this. You have to interact with people. You just have to. Unless you're a hermit on a deserted island, that's pretty much what you're going to be doing. You're going to be communicating with people, whether they're patients, co-workers, bosses, employers, employees, friends, family, wives, husbands. You can utilize these things with every single one of them.
I'm just ready to find out what skills that I can add to, as you call it, your toolbox, to see what else I can do to enhance my leadership.
And really, it's just taking all those, like, just little seeds of information that you gave us in the leadership minor and all the different courses. All these things are just little seeds, and it planted them, and now they're growing and turning into like real things in my life. And it's been so amazing to even to look back and say, wow, I can't believe if it hadn't been for you, like coming to that seminar my freshman year in I guess it was like the ETSU 1000 class or the Health 1350, and just kind of sparking my interest in leadership and what that would look like. So thank you.
Yeah.